Hey guys, Kamina the coach here. I am a little more sedated today because all the things. Welcome back if you're returning, and if you're new here, my name is Kamina the coach. I've been working and living abroad for over a decade. I have worked and lived in this is my ninth different location, and I've worked overseas legally, not a backpacker or a digital nomad. And March of 2020, I moved back to the United States and started working on healing some very serious early childhood trauma and adoption trauma. So on this channel, you will find a mixture of things to help you get it together to work and live abroad, and some things to help with adoption trauma and just trauma, dealing and processing trauma in general. So I am currently in Baghdad, Iraq, working at an undisclosed location. I haven't said where thus far. And so I've been here since January of 2023, and I just want to do this video because I think there are more and more Americans moving abroad, and I think that as they move abroad, they are very unaware of the fact that American culture, though it's all over the television, doesn't translate well to everywhere. So this video, I'm going to talk about smiling. And while I know the United States as a whole doesn't have this same culture about smiling, me being from the South and meeting people from the North, in general, there is a movement of positive psychology. Even an author that I enjoy, who has been gone for quite some time, Dale Carnegie, wrote an amazing book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he talks about in that book, or he talked about in that book, about how a smile can, smiling at people can just change their day. You never know what they're going through, and it makes you feel better as well. So I read that book in 2007, 2008, something like that. And I really began my push towards really controlling how I'm thinking and behaving, and how I project a positive outlook on the outside world and on the inside world. So that is mostly an American / Canadian thing. I don't really know Canadian culture, but I know Canadians are historically the nice people as well. So I just want to talk about how that translates overseas. So specifically, this is really talking about smiling and kind of greeting people. I am originally from Texas, and Texas, if you don't know, is nicknamed the Friendly State. And I grew up watching my adoptive father, do his hands would be on the wheel and he would throw the fingers up at anybody he passed. So where I live right now, we're pretty restricted, and anytime, odds are, if I'm passing somebody as I'm moving around, odds are I've seen them many times before. So these people aren't necessarily strangers. They're strangers in the sense that I don't know their name. They may know my name because I stand out here in a predominantly white atmosphere. They probably know my name, but I don't know their name, but not a complete stranger versus, while we're driving down the road. So it makes sense, or at least in my American brain, that you would greet everybody that you come across because, well, we kind of are all enclosed here together. So it would make sense to me in my American brain that that we would greet everyone. Now, mind you, if you haven't watched my video on spirituality and where I stand on religion, I have moved through many phases of religion and studied Islam quite seriously. So I'm not, and I also lived in Saudi Arabia for quite a long time, but you can't judge all predominantly Muslim countries based on Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the outlier, so to speak, when it comes to the way predominantly Islamic Muslim countries present. So there is a mixture of religions here, thus far I've only encountered Christian students and Muslim students, predominantly Muslim, but the government actually does give them a couple of days off for Christmas here. So, and I've had students say to me, you know, we respect diversity. So, also in a meeting where, you know, we're discussing with our director, asking about things that are illegal in Saudi Arabia, are they legal here? And also my director saying, yes, you know, they like to say that they are a more liberal country. It's not my country, I'm new here, I'm just a visitor. So having that understanding, not being ignorant to Islam and the premise that unmarried men and unmarried women, there is some separation among us. My classes are mixed and the campus is mixed. And in general, I dress quite conservatively, though I was told yesterday a sundress that hit me about right here was showing too much cleavage. Nonetheless, I feel like I am very conservative compared to a lot of Americans, and have a huge respect for different cultures and different religions. So as I move through the campus, I, you know, not a conversation, but, you know, hey, how you doing to everyone. And I also have done a video about a Black woman in the Middle East. This has backfired on me. So how has it backfired on me? In this type of culture, this speaking, a single woman speaking, especially speaking on her own, is an invitation. We'll just leave it at that. It's considered an invitation. So I've had to pull back a very important piece of me that helps actually keep me sane, healthy, and whole. Being friendly and kind and welcoming to people. Because it's not just for them, it's for me, it makes me feel good. And I've noticed how different I feel when I stop greeting and smiling at people. It really pulls me down, and I really do not like how it feels. Is this the only place? So obviously in Saudi Arabia, smiling and speaking is not going to work there either. When I got there, and the first time, I was very smiley, and I learned very quickly that that wasn't going to fly there. Are there any other countries where that has been the case? So a lot of places it's cool. Mexico, I found it to be okay. And Mexican people are way happy to see that I'm like willing to, I'm just speaking. They want to like come up engage. I'm like, I'm just said hello. I don't really want to have a conversation. So a different reaction there versus in the United States, we kind of keep going. Mexicans want to come have a conversation. China, not at all. Not at all. And in fact, when I speak, it makes very obvious that they feel very, very uncomfortable. I went diving with a Russian woman, and I spoke with her about why that was the case with Russians as well. And so she explained it to me that in Russia, they are taught to mind their own business. And so if somebody is smiling at them, they take it to mean that you're laughing at them or you're making fun of them. So not only do they have a stone face, but they look even more angry because they are assuming that you're making fun of them. All these things to assume. Myanmar, Sri Lanka, I found that the people were quite happy and welcoming. I wasn't either one of those places long enough to know if the men also believed that it was an invitation, that I was smiling and waving. But Myanmar is a pretty conservative country where women are fully clothed in most of the public spaces, not even showing leg. So probably there is this assumption that, oh, there's a foreigner here being nice to me. This is an invitation. So I kind of just want to put that out there as far as things that you would assume that would be universal everywhere, because Americans are so full of themselves and believe that everyone shares their culture, especially when it comes to such basic things as smiling. That's not necessarily the case. Thailand is known as the country of smiles. If you do some research on it, though, they have a smile for every emotion, they say. So they could be smiling at you and mocking you in the same moment. So the culture surrounding smiling and greeting people is really wildly different from country to country. And depending where you are, especially as a woman, especially as a Black woman, it could really backfire on you if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not really careful and cautious how you approach the situation. It definitely has backfired on me here. It is taking a toll on my mental health. I had planned on staying here 2 to 3 years. I don't know now, because I am not able to do something really basic that is good for my mental health. So we'll see. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that. I don't really have anything else to share today. Just imploring you to understand and approach with caution things that you take for granted and things that are normal and acceptable in the United States. The fact that it might cause you to be singled out or ostracized in other countries. Shaking hands and touching and all that stuff, we won't even get into that right now. But I was really just talking about something as basic as smiling and greeting people, especially as a woman, single woman abroad. So until next time, folks, my name is Kamina the Coach, sending you love, light, peace, and joy. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.